Well, I just come on to say I wanted to kind of get back on here again tonight. I've already downloaded my other video from the drive and haven't uploaded it to YouTube yet, but decided since I did a little more work into the other horse, like I said I would do off camera just to catch it up with where it was on the other, I decide I'm going to kind of come on here and to kind of do a little more talking while I do a little other catching up on a few more things. I'd say we kind of went around part of the body last time, but this time around we're going to kind of take care of a little bit more of the front of the body here. So, as for how this work must go, I've come to say that we're getting a little bit of a longer way into it and making the best out of what we have and how we can do. And I'd say that the work shall be able to make us all get a little better here and there, make us all see a little bit of more happy things in life. I know one thing is that I used to talk to a lady online. I used to ask all my friends what their favorite colors were and their favorite animals. One lady who really liked horses, she said there were a lot of horses, good ones out there, including the Clydesdale. I'm telling you all, people, if you've ever seen a Clydesdale horse, it's a pretty neat horse. And today I saw something very rare online. It was a little post about a certain type of horse that was kind of spotted, similar to a leopard or a giraffe. It was a rare type. It was called a peacock something or another palooza. I'm going to have to look back up the little pictures I downloaded and the post I took a screenshot of to try to remind myself of what its name is, what it's called, but I don't know whether that's a particular breed or if it could perhaps just maybe be something rare because it's only genetic. You know, there are some creatures out there that aren't really a type of breed, but a type of genetic. You know, it's kind of like how, you know, that what people often call the black panther is actually a black leopard in Africa or Asia, or a black jaguar in South America, and it kind of isn't really a particular breed, but it's just a kind of genetic, because, you know, usually if a leopard or a jaguar comes out as a black panther, that means that it inherited two recessive genes. Most any kind of animal that becomes an albino of some sort, if it becomes an albino, it's probably means that it's kind of white in its color or something like that. We used to have an albino rabbit when I was a kid, where it kind of was one that had white fur and pink eyes. Kind of thought it was a particular breed, but it was kind of one of those types where the way creatures kind of come out with that albino look. I mean, I've seen some albino raccoons at a wildlife center where I used to volunteer, and from what they had of those raccoons, I say that it was like they were just completely white in color, and their stripes were just kind of a light tannish brown. And so when they kind of brought those in, they were kind of the ones they never released back into the wild because they could not camouflage in with everything and therefore be safe from predators. So it was kind of interesting just to learn about all the albino creatures out there and all the ways it worked with their genes. And that's another thing that comes from recessive genes in an animal, is being an albino of any sort. It's kind of like all the things I've seen in life, all the things I've experienced in life, all the things I've known. So much I learned in biology as a kid in school, and so much that I tell you the shame of the matter is that some of these classes, I mean, I would learn little detailed matters from them, but problem was sometimes I couldn't pass them the first time I took them. I'd have to take them over again, probably kind of pass it a little bit better the next time around, make just barely a passing grade. But I tell you all, people, school was never a good place for me. It never did me well. I'd like to show y'all what I'm doing now is I'm carving the underside of the horse, and just kind of carved along the edges here. I'm going to try to go to the other side of the body, try to carve things out a little bit here, try to make it come out a little neater and nicer and thinner. I'm here to say that this world can be a real troubled place sometimes. We can see a lot of things that trouble us here and there and cause us little problems here and there, but I'm here to say that sometimes, just sometimes, once you kind of get a good reputation with some people, people start to think good of you, they share stuff about you, and I'm just here to say that that's how I've made a lot of the friends I've made in life. I've just always kind of made myself a reputation with people, and others have told others about me. I believe that's kind of the way it goes in life, and sometimes, just sometimes, you know, it's like, think about the way it was when I was a whole lot younger, you know. It was always kind of hard back then because I was a little different from other people, kind of had little realities people couldn't understand, and it was kind of hard to get as independent as I wanted to be, just because it was kind of hard to socialize as much as I needed to. I've kind of had my hindrances in life. I've kind of had my limitations in life, and there's been times I've kind of done different things at different times just to try to get out in the world and try to minister to people in different places and on different levels. Sometimes I've discovered that some of the things I thought were my gifts, they weren't my gifts, and some of them, they just weren't my best gifts. But as I come along in this, I find out that I like it so much better than so many things I've tried to do. Even find out this is something I can love so much and relax so much at, and it just kind of makes me so much more money to go to show how far things are going to come along. I'm here to say that probably can't wait to kind of get a budget together, see how that budget is going to do. Perhaps even kind of try to make a little bit more and kind of get above the cost of my materials. It could very well be at the end of the year, after I've recorded all that information, it is probably just going to come to a point where I'm probably going to realize that I probably didn't make enough in sales to really cover all the materials, but that's just a little thing that you just kind of learn by your little experiences in life. Your little experiences will teach you a lot of things. They're just things in life which, if you haven't worked on them long enough already, you can't take them too fast. You just kind of have to take them slow. Sometimes I've seen people get far ahead at different times in their lives at different things, but it all just works better at different ways at different times. Some things you have to be able to communicate so well to be able to do. My communication hasn't always been the best, and haven't always had all that much ability to read cues. Haven't been called by God to do the things I hoped to be called to do. Haven't been gifted to do the things I thought I was. Sometimes there's just different gifts we find we have at different times in our lives, and we just kind of take it from there, take it as it goes. Sometimes the little things in our lives, they might not take us where we want them to go, but I've got to tell you about this one friend I have, and she works in real estate now, and she talks about how when she was in law school, she just had plans on being a lawyer, but there were just certain reasons why she didn't get through law school, and next thing you know, she's just working real estate and really liking that. And so I say that there's a lot of things in life where we come to realize that things can work together for our good. They can probably kind of teach us a lot of things we wouldn't have already known. But I say that these little works of ours, they can take us to new places. I don't know where all this work is going to take me, but there could always be a possibility one day that Kingland could be selling some of my horses, or that the UK stadiums could be selling my Wildcats. There's a lot of work that comes a long way in this, a lot of work we do now and then. I say that I'd love to post some more stuff on Etsy sometime, but it's going to be a little hard to do for a while because there's a few things I'm just now working on, a few things I'm just now getting familiar with, a few things I have kind of yet to figure out and see how they work. But I just come to say that I've had lots of friends suggest to me that I start a store like that. I've already started one. I've set up a profile, but there's been things I've posted to it, different things at different times, and there's been things I've had to take down because I've sold them in some places and they never sold through a web page. There are some types of art that people would rather feel with their hands than look at online before they buy it. It all kind of depends from one of us to the next. I'd say, as far as I can tell, I've pretty much finished the carving part on this one. There might be a few little differences that I might need to make, maybe when I'm off the camera sometime, but I will tell you all that I'm going to move on to the next one, try to do a lot of the same little bits of carving on it. And there are things in life which, when I make them, sometimes I make them in twos, so that way there will be two of it, more than one to try to sell and more than one to try to make. Try to give people a little bit of extra unique choice about things. Try to let people pick and choose according to what they might think they'll like the best. I'm here to say that there are some things in life which, when they're done by a factory machine, they're done all the same. But some things we do, we kind of put different amounts of work into them. And when it's all done by hand, different ones turn out different ways. Sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it's for the good. I think last time around I probably already kind of carved inside the legs of this one, so it's pretty good as far as that's concerned. I think I'm getting a little further along on the belly. Kind of like little work as we do it as it goes. And I'm here to say I've kind of come a little further along here. Kind of got the next little line or so to do. Kind of got to go a little further along with it. Sooner or later I'll be a little more advanced. Probably have a little more to share, a little more to say. Sometimes work like this, I mean, it'll take you a long time to get really successful in it, but it'll all kind of work for better. There's places you're going to get eventually. Took me quite a few years to get to where I can carve as fast as I can now. It's probably going to be to the point where pretty soon with these two horses, we're going to be done with the carving part, get ready to get down to the sanding part. And believe it or not, I've got plenty of pieces of sandpaper here that I can use for that. Little times in our lives, we'll see and hear things from different stories and different viewpoints. I'm just kind of thankful these days that I've been able to get on here and just get a few good followers. Some people have been working harder than me for a longer time, and they've gotten many more followers on their sites. Sometimes it's hard for me to really kind of impress a lot of people, to kind of do as much as I need to do, but I'm coming a little longer way. This little work of mine is going to shine like the dew on the morning grass. There are times in our lives we see little things that can tell us different things, different times, see us all different ways. Sometimes I say that there are times when everything will go on for good reasons, and everything happens for a good reason, and people just need to know that we are here for them in all things. There's just all these things in life where some things get a little jeopardized here and there. Sometimes, just sometimes, work takes us a little further and shows us where all we need to go. Life can kind of show us a little passion and grace sometimes, and in our lives, you know, we all kind of learn to be ourselves sometimes. Little work comes along here. I've kind of probably got to apply a little more work to the belly of this one, kind of get all the saw marks out. And one thing I will tell you all is that when you kind of get it to the point where it's carved and where you have a lot of facets that show, you finally get to the point where you can start to sand with little grits at a time. Just kind of use the roughest grit first and the lightest grit last, and oh, I tell y'all, a lot of work goes into these things, and I'm making a lot of time in here. There were some of these I made years ago and gave as a gift, but these are the first ones going around that are going to be sold, or that are at least going to be put on the table for me to try to sell. So I'd like to say I've come along on this. Probably got to get a little knife mix out of the ears here, and probably getting closer to getting it done like the way it ought to be. Sometimes I tell you all that. And one thing I'll mention last of all is that the last thing you want to carve on here is the ears. You want to kind of carve along the middle here. And there's a certain way to do it. You have to be real cautious about it. If you're not, you might chip off a little too much. But I think I'm going to try to demonstrate here. Kind of try to carve a little bit towards the middle the best you can. Try to make it so it comes out good, comes out perfect. Try to make a best pair of ears you can. And whoa, these ears, I tell y'all, sometimes, just sometimes, every horse's ears are different. They all just kind of differ from one to the next. And I've seen some pictures online of different ears that were shaped different ways. These ones, you know, when it comes to looking out mostly like a horse, the ears can look a little bit like dog ears, but at least you kind of find a way to handle it well, to kind of take care of it, make it look kind of neat and nice, and try to make it look better. I will say this is how I've come along so far on the ears. Sometimes I might kind of carve a little more on the edge of the face to try to make the ears come out a little bit more to the edge. That's another little possibility you can take. And that's how it goes when you carve to the side. Take little ears and make little lives out of people you know and show a little grace to a multitude of people. Here, look, I say that I kind of got the ears out here to the sides. A little more work is going to come along and make it so much better and better and better. Now it's time to take along to the ears of the other one. Show it a little grace and a little mercy. I say that we've got little lines here, little places where the saw kind of burnt the wood out, but we're going to remove along on that line and take care of little things just as they really ought to need to be. And I say that this is how it's coming along. We're taking care of little matters just as the way they all need to be. Here we go again, taking little things to how far they can go. Just want to say that we carve along the ears just like this. They have little points on them that show up just fine. I'm here to say that this little kind of work just measures a lot. I told you in a story, some video, a while back, the story as to how the point of this knife got chipped and how I had to put a little extra work into it to kind of make it sure out, right? So I kind of took care of that, and still all these knives, I mean, they still have to be sharpened all the time. They still have to work. They still have to do what they're designed to do. And I say along ways, you know, this is how good the carving's going to come along. I'd say we're going to try to, there's a little place on one side of this horse where I forgot to shave away the saw marks. And believe it or not, I keep so many knives in my possession at a time. Because sometimes just to go about a project, you need several. I once knew a man who told me that he always kind of changed his knives around as he carved. Because sometimes, when you kind of have to go about a project, you have to sharpen several, because when one dulls out, you're going to need another to keep going. So that's how the work comes along, and that's how we do it. That's how we take care of this work the best way it needs to be. We shave along these lines, getting rid of all these marks along the wood, and taking care of little things here and there. We're going to try to, I've finally gotten to where I think I can see that all that we have left to do on this one is to carve around the face, kind of up near the eyes, just to kind of make the ears go out to the edge like we just did with the other. There's probably going to be some work that I might have to do off camera a little bit here or there, just to kind of make it work a little better, but I'm here to say that this is how it's coming along. It's coming along great. Oh, this is a good little work here. I'm here to say that little horsies, they just work as they do. They're going to pull your carts and do all the things you kind of could ask for them to do. Oh, little funny things they do. All the funny ways they work in life. Kind of taking a little media to a little extreme and kind of working its way out. For all the things you do, here we go. I'm hoping I can say that I've done enough can't wait till I can get a chance to make a video where I show you how I sand them. And there's going to be some work to come about that too. It's all going to come in its own time. It's all going to come in its own way. It's probably about time we kind of take out these knobs, move them along, and Lord knows, we know that this kind of little work is just going to shine us quite a ways. Shine us quite a ways. I say that sometimes my words don't always make sense, but it's kind of how it goes. Have a lot to say, a lot to do, so little work come on, little works come and go. I'm here to say that business is going to boom in a little day or two. It's going to come a longer way, take us a little further, and make us all we need to be. In Jesus' name, amen.